Welcome to a new edition of St. Louis Presents.
I'll be right with you.
Steve, you want to put the donuts away?
Oh, sorry. Thanks for the donuts, though, Debbie. That was great.
Serves me right for buying birthday donuts for Steve Potter. Happy birthday. 39 again.
Yes, that's my waist, but yes. Thanks for the donuts. I appreciate it.
We've got a great show lined up today because we're thinking spring for sure. And if you're itching to get in the garden, well, we've got Gateway Greening in the house, and we'll talk about a new program they have going this summer.
And you know, Michael Utoff is here. Dan St. Louis is doing some interesting things, and someone told me they're celebrating 50 years. I don't see how that's possible, so I'm going to ask him about that.
Well, a new season to talk about. We'll dance our way into that, and also
racial harmony.
Racial harmony.
Have you heard about these? You have heard about these random acts of kindness?
Oh, absolutely.
I've got a story to tell you about that later, and it relates to what racial harmony is doing too.
Well, fantastic. Well, we'll find out about all that and more coming up on this edition of St. Louis Presents.
Can I have more donuts?
Yes, more donuts. Welcome back. Joining us now is Robert Wells, an ambassador for the Center for Racial Harmony.
And he's here today to tell us more about the group and its dedication to promoting racial understanding.
A really interesting concept, Bob. We're interested in learning more about what is the group Racial Harmony.
Well, Racial Harmony on the first slide is showing you what are we. We're a group that's designed and intended to try to bring greater communication between all races and ethnic groups. Our purpose is to try to collaborate with those groups and try to build a greater understanding and cooperation.
And you've been doing this for some time, I think a quarter of a century?
It'll be coming up to a quarter of a century. The question is whether we started, what year we started. We're either in our 24th or 25th year this year.
A lot of people might assume, oh, this group grew out of the Ferguson situation and all the talk about the need for racial understanding in this community, but obviously that is not the case.
No, it's not. Unfortunately, it came from a 60 Minutes expose concerning Belleville and an issue that Belleville had, and an issue that Belleville has worked on to resolve and is making a great deal of progress on, but obviously we're all works in progress.
You described this as a party-neutral organization?
Third-party neutral.
Third-party, I'm not sure what that means.
Third-party neutral means that we are trying to keep ourselves in a position where we can always come in and mediate when people have a dispute. If we became too great an advocacy group, what we'd be doing is we'd be trying to take one side. Now, that doesn't mean we can ignore the injustices that take place. I was in Ferguson the Friday after Thanksgiving. I saw what was there. Most people don't understand that Delwood actually had more damage than Ferguson did, but I was there. I saw the people boarding up the storefronts with reference to what was there, and Ferguson is a big issue, and it's a lightning rod for what's going on in the community right now.
It seems like a lot of people want to make a very snap judgment about things based on their own personal experiences and then close that door, and they don't want to really put themselves in someone else's shoes or try to see things from other angles. So do you work on reaching people like that, or do you work on maybe reaching a younger generation that can see things in a different light?
Both. Unfortunately, the power and structure is in those people that are beyond the youth. Unfortunately, most of it's controlled by people who are not the minority, not the aggrieved, not the people who have their problems, and therefore you have to address those. As we talked about before the show started, there are two words I like to use when we have our presentations. The first is silence. Silence has a plus and a minus to it. A plus of silence is seeking first to understand. Stephen Covey had that line. It's not mine. The second aspect of if you're silent after you know there's an injustice, then you're implicit in that injustice.
So close your mouth until you understand the situation, and if it's a wrong situation, then call it out.
Absolutely.
More people should do that, Debbie. I think you're right. You know, I wanted to ask you about a random act of kindness because your group's doing something that relates to that. And can I tell you a really quick story?
Absolutely.
This never happened to me. Just like 2 days ago, I was at the Bush Center at St. Louis University where the kids get all the food and the cafeteria type stuff. And I walked up to the register, and I had my walnut shrimp and my low-calorie chocolate milk. And there was this young black guy at the register, never seen him before. And I walked up, I made a little joke, he was eating soup, and I said, oh, they let you eat on the job. And he goes, lunch is on us. And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, lunch is on us. And I said, do you do this all the time? He goes, no. I said, I don't get it. He goes, a random act of kindness. That just happened to me the other day.
So did that make you want to pass it on?
Yes.
Well, good.
I'm going to do something nice to you one of these days.
Thank you. It'll be about time.
So anyway, you kind of live by that too.
I try to. The other word that we talked about beforehand was introspection. And that is a word that I use an awful lot because I find in these discussions, many people find fault with someone else. You have those on one side who will say, if they are taken care of at home, they wouldn't have this problem. And I have people at home who say if they had more resources, there wouldn't be this problem. But I always suggest, look at yourself and look what you do or don't do. There are sins of commission and omission. And oftentimes the omission ones are the ones that we should be addressing.
That's a really great point. Yeah, we're always very quick to point out what other people need to change about themselves, but it's never about us. So when you say that your group is about mediation, do people come to you when they have a specific problem, or do you do classes and courses or meetings, or how is the group set up?
Actually, we do all those things, but in varying degrees and at varying times. We're called in sometimes to mediate a problem and try to get groups together. And mediation is where you try to find an interest that's common versus a position that everybody starts with. Everybody starts with a position. But mediation enables you to get past that and understand the other side. And oftentimes in a caucus, a private session during mediation, you're able to get to the crux of the matter and find out there's some issues there that you didn't know about, and there's some interests that are common. There's so many common interests we have. You know, my interest is really my children and my grandchildren, making a better world for them. That's the thing that, you know, strikes me, it hits me, and comes home to me.
And you must see that firsthand.
Well, I do. I have 3 children and 3 granddaughters.
I mean, with the people you're working through with this group too, when you get them together to talk, you actually see it play out.
We do
right
at
in front
times.
of you. Yeah.
I mentioned before that we had a program 5 days before Ferguson, which we were trying to bring in the positive collaboration between schools and law enforcement. And at that program, we had the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Illinois, we had the Sheriff of the county, we had the Superintendent of the largest school system in the county, and we had a judge. And they were discussing these things concerning how we can make it so that law enforcement is better. And most recently, Nick Galeas, who is the police chief of Fairview Heights, is instrumental in putting together a program for youth in which youth are able to participate in a training program and have an interaction with the police. And the design and intention of that was that not only are they going to interact with the community and the police force, but they're also going to find more minorities who might want to become policemen, which is important to do.
Well, Bob, we appreciate the time you've spent with us today, and we appreciate the work your group is doing, and we certainly hope people check out your website and check out some of the programs you have upcoming, including an awards ceremony for some young people. We can see right there on the screen, centerforracialharmony.org. Thanks so much, Bob. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll talk more about gardening and dancing.
And Bob, stick around. We've got donuts.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Uh-huh.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov.
G-morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. Text me. Are your parents home later? We can hang. LUV, love you. JK. Holla back, holla back, holla back. Are you with your friends? That's lame. We're in a huge fight right now. XO. What'd you dream about? Something I did. Are you on your way to the mall? Lonely. Nude pics. Send me some. Text me.
Welcome back. Gateway Greening's Dig It STL is a summer job opportunity for St. Louis teens interested in urban agriculture. Joining me now, our program coordinator, Carolyn Cosgrove Payne, and crew member Alex Harper. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Now, I think it's so cool that urban agriculture has become such a thing in the past few years because Gateway Greening's been at this for so long.
Yes.
Now it seems like everyone else is catching up. So I guess to start, if kids, is this something where this is just for kids looking for a summer job, or you specifically want young people who have an interest in just getting in there in the dirt and growing things?
We like to have a mixture of both. I think the best part of having a summer employment program for teens is that the employment piece, the money piece, really pulls in teens that we would never otherwise come across in our work. And that's really important to us, to really cast a wide net. And many of our teens came in for the paycheck, and I think that they
You're laughing there.
They left really enjoying the work and really bringing a new interest in growing food and in the social issues around that in our community.
Now, Alex, you did this last summer.
Yes.
And did you start out doing it for the paycheck? Because I saw you kind of
I
laughing
did
there.
it. At first, it was for the paycheck, but I ended up learning more about the agriculture in a sense. I had already had past experience with it, but I would say the program really enhanced my knowledge about growing vegetables and fruits.
What kind of things were you doing?
I was basically growing produce and selling it, hosting tours and things like that, going to different farms and harvesting for them.
Now, is this something that you would like to continue in the future, even if it's not for a career, but just maybe on your own?
Yes, I would say I would like to continue doing it because I know that it does impact our community and it helps the earth as a whole.
Now, Carolyn, how many young people are you looking to hire for this program this summer?
We have 15 positions open this summer, and we also, that's more than last year. We had 12 positions last year, so we're really growing. Last year we had 54 people apply for our 12 slots, so we're excited to grow more. And we're really grateful to STL Youth Jobs, who is our program partner for this project.
Now, the people that you hire, where do they work? Is it specific gardens? Because I know Gateway Greening does a number of community gardens all over the area.
We have so many garden projects, it's hard to choose where to work. And we will be this summer working mainly at Gateway Greening's Urban Farm, which is in Midtown St. Louis on Payne. And we also work at Bell Garden, which is our flagship community garden site off of North Grand. So we work at those places consistently. We also choose some of our network gardens to work with on field trips and occasionally as needed. So some of those field trip experiences last summer included Three Rivers Community Farm, which is all the way in Elsa, Illinois. We also worked with Clay Elementary School Garden and Malincrot Gifted Academy School Garden as well. So we really, we get around, we move around a lot.
Now, I know one of Gateway Greening's thoughts is, years ago when I was talking about how the school gardens were first starting up, Gateway Greening would say, if kids get in there and they start growing their own vegetables, then they'll be more likely to eat the vegetables because they see it happening. Would you say that that was true for you, Alex? Are you more likely to eat vegetables because you've created them yourself, so to speak?
I was eating vegetables at first, but going there, I learned more about how the nutrients can enhance my body and how it can basically help my body produce what it needs to produce with my age. And basically, yeah, I would.
Was there a favorite thing that you liked to grow? Because some things are easier to grow than others. I imagine not every crop is going to be a successful one, so you have to kind of learn to deal with a bit of failure at times.
I would say my favorite thing to grow was the potatoes, and also I would say the tomatoes.
Tomatoes are fun, and I think potatoes are great because it's like a little treasure. It's always a surprise to dig down in there and see what you came up with. So the stuff that the workers are growing, what happens to that produce? Alex said he sold some of it. Is at farmers markets and that kind of thing?
We will be selling at a farmer's market this summer. And in addition to that, that's a relatively small amount of produce. A lot of our produce goes home with our teen employees and with our volunteers. We also donate a portion of our produce to the St. Patrick's Center and other organizations like Food Outreach, local organizations that distribute food to people who need it.
Well, it's a fantastic program, and I know Gateway Greening has so many of them. And I would encourage people, if they've never been to Bell Garden, I like to go there and just kind of poke around. I mean, people are welcome to go just to see what kind of different things are available and how to grow them and get seeds and plants.
Every Saturday morning from 9 to noon, from March through October, we are open to the public at Bell Garden. You're always welcome. Anyone is welcome to come.
Now, Alex, would you recommend this as a summer job for your friends or other people that you know? Are you an advocate now for the Dig It program?
I would say I would recommend it because you learn more about the produce and how it could help you in your daily lives, and how the how not using pesticides can actually help the fruit and vegetables that you grow.
Well, fantastic, and I'm glad you're growing the program, and I'm sure you'll get even more applicants this year than last. What's the best way for people to find out more information about how to apply?
On our website, gatewaygreening.org/digitstl. The application is available there at that website. You can also call me at the number on the screen. And you can leave a message, or if you need help applying, I can answer any questions.
Well, fantastic. I know that I've got spring fever. I can't wait to get out there and start seeing everything green up and start growing things. So thank you so much, both of you, and have a great growing season, Carolyn and Alex. We're going to throw it to Steve Potter, the birthday boy, who's got some news headlines for us, so stick around.
Thanks, Debbie, and produce is okay, but I'm going to stick with the donuts if that's okay with you. Well, this April, City of St. Louis voters will need to decide whether to keep the city's earnings tax for another 5 years. The Board of Aldermen voted 24-0 to approve Board Bill 265, an ordinance putting the decision before voters. The 1% earnings tax is the city's largest source of revenue, accounting for nearly a third of the general fund budget. City voters last approved the earnings tax in April of 2011 with an 88% approval rate. Set the Pace St. Louis, the property-assessed clean energy program for the city, is breathing new life into abandoned buildings. Financing is closed for 2 redevelopments in the Central West End and Soulard. One project will turn a vacant warehouse and multifamily building into a mixed-use residential and commercial development. The other is an old school that will be transformed into new loft apartments. Add these to an energy-efficient retrofit to the Missouri Athletic Club announced last summer, and Set the Pace St. Louis is on track to reaching its target of reducing citywide greenhouse gas emissions by 25% by 2020. You can learn more about the program at setthepacestlouis.com. In an effort to make it easier for people to connect to job training and job opportunities, the city's St. Louis Agency on Training and Employment has opened 2 new neighborhood offices. The new neighborhood workforce centers are fully staffed and helping new clients. Located at Prince Hall and Cherokee in Ohio, the centers are open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, except on Wednesdays when they open at 9 a.m. Learn more about Slate and the programs available by visiting stlworks.com. Mardi Gras Inc. hosted another round of great celebrations this year in Soulard. Our own Angela Sharp was on the scene at the Lemure Place Cajun Cook-Off, and we have some highlights for you right now.
The Cajun Cook-Off brings out everybody, even the famous. I got Rich Gould here. What are you doing here today?
I'm a judge, man. I did this last year, and it's so cool. They have the secret ingredient. Last year it was rabbit. This year I think it's duck. I don't know that I'm supposed to know that, but it was my first question, because you don't want to eat anything too funky. Last year I had to eat something like rabbit liver or something in some of these dishes. But I'm a judge, and so I get to walk around, try everything, give a little taste, and then go ahead and make my mark.
Hey, that sounds like the best job at the party.
It's so cool. I mean, you see so many great people. It gets Soulard kicked off right. And plus the food. These guys are amazing cooks.
Yeah, I've got to try some of the food, and it has been excellent. Is it a really hard decision for you?
Actually, yes. because you want to go ahead and put some thought into it. You're judging on presentation, you're judging on taste, you're judging on how quickly they do it. It's amazing, and I love to cook. I think it's so much fun. I can't wait till tomorrow because I get to make a little pork stew of my own. I like to experiment and do that, but these guys, they're the top of what they do in St. Louis. I mean, and they take it very seriously.
Now, U.S. Food is a sponsor of this event. Why?
It's just getting involved with the community. It's such a great event here, the Cajun event, year after year.
The Lumiere Place Cajun Cook-Off has been a ton of fun. There's amateurs and professionals competing to see who's going to be the best in St. Louis. There's demonstrations. Hey, maybe you can take some of this Cajun cooking home with you. There's drinks, there's beads, and of course, delicious food. I think it's actually time for the photographer Joe and myself to go get some of that great food. So for STL TV, I'm Angela Sharp. I'll see you next time.
But Debbie, are there Cajun donuts? That's what I want to know.
I obviously haven't eaten enough donuts today because that food looked
Looks good,
delicious.
doesn't it? Sure
It
does.
made me hungry. Well, from food to Dance St. Louis, celebrating their 50th anniversary season, a huge accomplishment, 50 years, especially considering it is one of only 6 remaining dance presenting organizations in the country.
And I always try to dance after I eat.
Absolutely.
Today we're pleased to have with us the artistic and executive director, Michael Utoff. Hi, Michael.
My
And
pleasure.
50
Nice to see you
years,
both
is that
again.
possible?
Well, not with me, but,
But I bet you've been there a third of that time, haven't you?
no, not quite. 10 years. But it is. It's celebrating 50 years since Annalisa Mertz had this idea to create an organization that's main purpose at that time was to bring very contemporary dance to St. Louis, specifically one individual. But pretty soon it evolved into that it was a great idea that we should see more than just one. So it developed into bringing 10 events a year and into what we're doing right now.
Now, as we talk about the 50th year and how many presenting dance companies there are, we've seen other dance companies fold up. What would you say is the success of Dance St. Louis?
Well, Dance St. Louis is, what you pointed out, a dance-only presenter. So we have a very narrow focus, and we can try and be as good as we can to it. It does offer certain problems in that we don't own a theater, and therefore we are at the mercy of what dates are available in what theater. And it depends on the theater is what we can put on it. You know, if we have the Fox available to us, of course we can do the grandeur works that present Nutcracker, present, you know, Alvin Ailey, present New York City Ballet. But at the Two Hill Theater, which is a fantastic dance theater, we're not limited. We have a myriad of opportunities to do great dance, which we do. But the audience does not still think of the Two Hill as a destination point. So it's become a little bit of an issue for us to get the audience to come in the numbers we would like them to come, and that they should come.
You know, you're involved in so many things, and maybe you want to recap something for us that you just did. You sort of, you know, tipped your hat to, for example, Black History Month.
Well, you know, it's very interesting what Bob was pointing out. When I heard that Maya Angelou had passed away, I knew her poetry and didn't much know about her, and realized that she had roots to St. Louis. Mm-hmm. So I thought that it would be great to do a kind of a exaltation of Black African-American artists that were roots to the city. And lo and behold, as we planned this festivity, Ferguson happened, so it became the elephant in the room. You couldn't deny it. So the whole process changed its dynamic. So as I was looking for African-American choreographers that could exemplify what was happening and at the same time think of it as something to move forward from and learn from, we hired 3 choreographers and got them to work with the dance companies locally. And that was presented for your viewers a few weeks ago. And that was one aspect of what we're doing and the celebration. And it's really related to the city. And then it moves forward to what we're doing in April, which we're bringing Ensemble Español to here, which is a Spanish dance company that we had brought in some 3-4 years ago, and it turned out to be a huge success. And we felt as a celebration of Hispanic culture as well, it was great to have them be part of it. And that leads us to culminating into what's been the greatest success of Dance St. Louis in my tenure, which is the Spring to Dance Festival, which brings 30 companies to perform at the Two Hill over a span of 3 days. Yeah, and it's a true celebration.
And that's some local, but most of them aren't local groups, are they?
No, the idea was to encourage the locals to meet and raise their standards. And every local that meets a certain standard is invited regardless. But we open it to the world. And when you think that of the locals, maybe 5 or 6 get chosen, there is other 24 or 25 different companies that come from anywhere in the United States and Canada and Mexico, and some of them even come from Europe. Now, we don't pay them enough to come from Europe, but they decided it's worth it.
Well, and what I love about that event is it's every kind of dance. And I think that's one of the strengths of Dance St. Louis is that it really exposes people to such a variety. So if people think, oh, I'm not really into dance, well, there's something that you will like. And I think it's also quite telling that we have Antonio and Kervin Douthit Boyd, who Alvin Ailey dancers who have moved to St. Louis just to continue to spread dance.
Well, we're grateful. I'm grateful that they came here because they became part of this project I mentioned before. But they also tell everybody that St. Louis is becoming a place where great artists can come and make their home.
Brian Enos is, I think, another good example from Big
Brian
Money.
is a great guy. I mean, I brought him in here, to do some work on the same kind of project last year. That got him in touch with the people of Big Money, and now he was hired as artistic director, created work for St. Louis Ballet.
It seems like the dance companies are doing more collaboration here in St. Louis than they used to. I see your name associated with other groups more often.
Well, that's the whole objective that we had. That was one of the things that we felt that there was no dialogue amongst them. So if you don't talk, if you don't see each other, how are you going to know what the other one's doing and what you should be doing? And this way they can partner in many ways, do different things because they want to. And there's even the case where, in the St. Louis Ballet had some injuries and the dancers of Big Muddy were ready to step in. So it was great. It was a crossbreeding that's beautiful.
Now, before we run out of time, I'm curious, we have these dance shows on TV, like So You Think You Can Dance, which these people are doing amazing things. Does that translate into more people wanting to see dance in person? I'm
one of those who doesn't think it does. I mean, and people get mad at me because saying it changes the format. It's like reading a book through Reader's Digest. You will get a kind of a taste of it, but it's not reading the book, okay? And So You Think You Can Dance is 45 seconds of the most high-energy dance possible, and it sort of reduces the attention span of you as an audience to those 45 seconds. And of course, they leave nothing to the imagination.
I like to watch it. I'd rather come see
I
Dance
watch
St. Louis.
it. Don't get me wrong. I watch it. But the question was, does it lead to people coming more to the performances? And I don't think so, except for Spring to Dance, because in some ways, though it doesn't have 45 seconds, it does have 15 minutes into shows. So nobody's sort of stuck for half an hour. Well, we sure hope people help celebrate your 50th anniversary of Dance St. Louis. Michael, have a great season, and we are probably going to have to do some dancing off of the donuts. There's the information there. DanceStLouis.org is the place to go for more information, or you can call that box office number right there.
Great seeing you, Michael.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. Well, we certainly hope that you enjoyed this episode of St. Louis Presents.
And we want to thank our guests and all you at home for watching. Have a donut on me today.
And we'll see you next time right here on STL TV.